Yeah, Lauren, thanks. People are waking up to slick and slushy roads all over northeast Wisconsin this Wednesday. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm McLeod Hageman. We'll keep an eye on traffic alerts for you all morning long, and Lauren is watching the forecast as it develops, so you're safe when heading out the door. But Tuesday's snowstorm did not stop voters from heading to the polls, and it didn't stop President Trump supporters from going to his rally, which he held in Green Bay. Preston Stober and Andrew Amuzu were at watch parties for both candidates as they look to win the Badger State's primary.
I'm Preston Stober at the 10th frame in Appleton for the Outagamie County Republican Party Watch Party during the Republican primary, getting the opinions of partygoers. Former President Donald Trump is the favorite and ahead in the race, but Nikki Haley and a few other candidates are still drawing support. We found out who has the support of members in the Republican Party of Outagamie County.
If Trump is our nominee, we'll be voting for him, supporting him, yes.
He is a man who is going to correct a lot of the tyranny that we are in today.
And I did vote in the primary, and I did not vote for Trump.
My original support was with Haley. I like Haley.
Regardless of who gets the nomination, everyone we talked to said they will be voting for the Republican nominee in the presidential election. In Appleton, Preston Stober, NBC 26.
A rematch of the 2020 presidential election is now set. I'm your Green Bay neighborhood reporter Andrew Amuzu, and I'll have a recap of Tuesday's primary election and what local Democrats are now saying. We started our day with the Outagamie County Democrats as they prepared to host a watch party. I spoke with Vice Chair Kelly Fenton beforehand about the party's efforts to encourage voter turnout.
Outagamie County specifically is as purple as any of the counties in this purple state. And so we know that we here in Outagamie County can make an absolute difference in winning and losing Wisconsin this year.
Due to extreme weather, their watch party plans were canceled and polling places were losing power. But the weather did not stop people from going to Brown County's Democratic Watch Party. Democratic Chair Christy Welch said she expected the Biden-Trump rematch and continues to spread the message of voting.
All of us at the Democratic Party of Brown County, all of our volunteers, we're amped up to support Biden and make sure that Trump does not get elected. Neither wind nor rain nor snow should prevent you from getting to the polls and casting that ballot.
And with the severe weather, people are still recovering from outages, tree falls, and even more. We'll have you updated as the community continues to brace it all. In Green Bay, Andrew Amuzu, NBC 26.
And a look at the latest primary numbers into our newsroom for this morning. No surprise whatsoever, President Donald Trump leading the Republican ticket with 79% of the vote there. Nikki Haley coming in behind with 13%. Ron DeSantis coming in at 3% there. Now, if we take a look back from the race in 2016, a very different story. We have Senator Ted Cruz leading the way with 48% of the vote, 35% there with Donald Trump. Now, let's go on to the Democratic side of the ticket. We have President Joe Biden leading the way for the state of Wisconsin with 89% of people casting their ballots in favor of President Joe Biden. I want you to take a look at this number right here when it comes to President Joe Biden. 506,725 Wisconsinites casting their ballots in favor of President Joe Biden. This election primary, if we switch that back over to President Donald Trump, 468,950 people casting their ballots in favor of President Donald Trump. So a nearly 38,000-point difference there when it comes to President Biden and President Trump. So kind of a preview of what to expect going into that general election come this November. Now going on to some of the questions on the ballots when it came to Wisconsin referendums. We have the use of private funds in election administration. Several people in Wisconsin saying that they are in favor of keeping outside money away from Wisconsin politics when it comes to a lot of our elections. And that second question that was on the ballot as well, going along with that, only designated election officials to conduct elections for that amendment too. So Governor Tony Evers will not be able to veto either of these referendums because they will be amendments there when it comes to the state constitution. Now, this is no surprise whatsoever since Wisconsin was first declared a state in 1854. There have been nearly 200 referendums on Wisconsin ballots. And of those, I believe it comes down to nearly 50 different times that people have voted against those referendums. So Wisconsin going with history and then voting in favor of both of those referendums, which will likely have an effect come this general election in November.
I'm John Erickson in downtown Green Bay. Former President Trump held a rally here for about an hour Tuesday night, and here's what some of the attendees had to say after he spoke.
We are going to win this state. We're going to win the White House.
Former President Trump went on to talk about immigration and the border. He said on day one of a new Trump administration,
begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
Tim LeCount came to the rally from the Pulaski area.
I don't mind legal immigration. I just don't like the way it's going right now.
Nick Daniels of Green Bay also wanted to hear about immigration. Would you say immigration and the border a top motivating factor in your vote?
Top three. Number one would definitely be inflation.
And as far as the race for the presidency, the attention on Wisconsin continues. President Biden is set to visit Madison coming up on Monday. In Green Bay, John Erickson, NBC 26.
Some Wisconsinites in Madison and Milwaukee, in Green Bay, in some of the more rural parts of the state, may well see Donald Trump or Joe Biden more than they see some of their friends and neighbors in the fall of 2024.
As the race for the White House heats up, we can certainly expect to see more visits from the president and former president. UW-Madison professor Mike Wagner researches the ways voters and lawmakers communicate. He says places like Brown County, where Trump was Tuesday, and Dane County, where Biden will be on Monday, are crucial to this year's election.
Coming to Wisconsin and trying to persuade somewhere between 0.5 and 1% of the population to either show up and vote for you when they wouldn't have otherwise, or switch their vote is really the only way these candidates can kind of change their fortune.
The visits to the Badger State will certainly continue. Republicans are hosting their national convention in Milwaukee this summer, and President Biden's campaign has already opened dozens of field offices across Wisconsin.
We saw whiteout conditions throughout many of our neighborhoods yesterday, especially in Door County, and it's no different as we're waking up this morning. Right now, our winds are gusting around 40 miles an hour. Eventually, they are going to get a little bit calmer as we're headed later into the afternoon and then certainly overnight, but still seeing these breezy conditions with those gusts around 25 miles an hour. Your high temperatures today climbing in the mid-30s as we're still seeing this rain and snow mix continuing throughout the entire day today. Now, bad roads this morning. It is a slippery start with poor visibility, and that will continue later into the afternoon hours. Eventually, things are going to get slightly better as we're looking towards tomorrow.